Get ready for action because the Phillies and Cubs game delivered goosebumps in the third inning. Michael Busch scored on a sacrifice fly by Michael Conforto, sending the crowd into a frenzy. We also saw a bizarre moment with a lone Canadian goose appearing on the outfield lawn, getting ruffled by Busch's line drive single, adding a truly unique twist to the game.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSockets Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
Next up, we dive into the atmosphere surrounding the Cubs' victory. We look at what fans are saying on BCB After Dark about the game, highlighting Nico Hoerner as a major surprise. And we even take a look at some fascinating film history, exploring the incredible stop-motion artistry of Ray Harryhausen in The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Now, let's talk MLB rules that are causing a stir. Cubs manager Craig Counsell has called the rule allowing the Los Angeles Dodgers to carry 14 pitchers because of Shohei Ohtani absolutely bizarre, suggesting it's a rule designed purely to help a fence for just one team. Finally, we look at the big moves happening in the trade market as the Chicago Cubs try to stabilize their pitching staff. A potential trade idea brings in $45 million ex-Yankees starter Luis Severino to bolster the rotation, and we break down the strategic thinking behind this move to keep the Cubs competitive. A thrilling moment in the third inning delivered goosebumps for fans as Michael Busch scored on a sacrifice fly by Michael Conforto, reaching on a single that sent a crowd into a frenzy. The atmosphere at Wrigley Field was also marked by an unusual wildlife sighting. Seagulls appeared about an hour before the first pitch, apparently unconcerned with the schedule, capitalizing on the prime feeding time after a day game. Adding a quirky element to the night was the appearance of a lone Canadian goose in the third inning, which slowly traversed the outfield lawn before taking a position near shortstop. The bird's composure was broken when Michael Busch's line drive single landed nearby, prompting an immediate takeoff. The attention was not entirely on the wildlife, however, as the Phillies continued their challenging stretch, having fallen 5-1 to the Cubs. The Mets were also struggling, returning to New York with an 11-game losing streak after being swept by the Cubs over the weekend, leaving the Phillies at 6 games and counting after a 5-1 defeat. Following a tough loss in Philadelphia on Sunday, former Cubs slugger and Phillies designated hitter Kyle Schwarber offered encouragement, advising the team to take it on the chin and keep moving. The Phillies responded by enduring another tough outing, with right-hander Aaron Nola facing difficulties. Cubs had inflicted significant damage, touching Nola for 5 runs on 6 hits, including a 3-run home run by Dansby Swanson, alongside 4 walks, pushing Nola's season ERA to 5.06. Despite winning their last 6 games, the Cubs have failed to close the gap in the National League Central Division. The victory against the Phillies helped the Cubs move out of a 4th-place tie with the Brewers into a 3-way tie for second, just a game and a half behind the division-leading Reds. All 5 teams in the division currently hold winning records, marking the deepest point in the NL Central with all 5 teams winning until May 29, 2004. Manager Craig Counsell assessed the division's strength, stating, "I think all 5 teams are playing well. It's 20 games. It means something. It means they've played well." Meanwhile, Cubs second baseman Nico Hoerner earned NL Player of the Week honors for the first time, showcasing a strong week with a .346 batting average, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, and 11 RBI, tying for the Major League lead in RBI totals. Counsell also noted that injured reliever Hunter Harvey, suffering from inflamed triceps, has yet to return to the mound. BCB After Dark hosted a lively Monday night gathering, featuring a recap of the Cubs' recent performance and insider baseball discussions. The Cubs secured a 5-1 victory over the Phillies, marking their 6th consecutive win. The conversation touched on player performance, with 55% of attendees naming Nico Hoerner as the most pleasant surprise of the year, followed by Mo Baller. The event also highlighted upcoming cultural events, including International Jazz Day, featuring Ramsey Lewis performing Brasilica. A segment of the evening focused on film analysis, with a deep dive into Ray Harryhausen's stop-motion animation techniques, specifically referencing The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and debating the relevance of classic animation versus modern CGI in cinema. The discussion extended to the current state of superhero movies, questioning critics like Martin Scorsese's assessment of the genre. On the baseball front, the focus shifted to pitching updates. Matthew Boyd is expected to be cleared from the injured list and return for Wednesday's game against Philadelphia. Meanwhile, left-hander Jordan Wicks, recovering from a forearm strain, is on a rehab assignment in Iowa. While Wicks showed promise in AAA, his activation timeline remains uncertain, with experts debating his potential role in the Cubs' pitching staff, whether as a fifth starter alongside Colin Rea or as a bullpen option, or if he should remain in the minors pending further injuries. Chicago Cubs manager Craig Counsell has expressed strong disapproval of a Major League Baseball rule that grants the Los Angeles Dodgers an exception, allowing them to carry 14 pitchers on their active roster due to Shohei Ohtani's two-way status. The standard roster limit for pitchers is 13 from opening day through August 31st, increasing to 14 pitchers and 28 active players from September 1st through the end of the season. However, because Ohtani is designated as a two-way player, he does not count against the pitcher limit, meaning the Dodgers utilize the full allowance of 14 pitchers. Counsell stated that he has never understood the rationale behind the restriction, suggesting the rule is primarily intended to benefit the offense. He characterized the situation as peculiar, noting that one team is allowed special consideration for carrying a player who possesses both pitching and hitting capabilities. The two-way player designation requires a player to have accumulated at least 20 innings pitched and 20 big league starts as a position player or designated hitter, along with a minimum of 3 plate appearances in each of those games within the current or 2 most recent seasons. Ohtani is the only current player who meets these stringent criteria, leading Counsell to conclude that it is the most bizarre rule in the game, as it grants one team unique treatment for a single player. Noi Dung Kai Tight. The Chicago Cubs are reportedly exploring a significant trade to acquire a $45 million former Yankees starter, aiming to bolster their struggling pitching staff amid ongoing injury woes. The move, as reported by the Sporting News, is part of a critical effort by General Manager Jed Hoyer and the front office to stabilize the rotation and keep the team competitive heading into the trade deadline. /N, the Cubs have suffered multiple season-ending injuries to their starting pitchers, placing immense pressure on the organization to remain viable and secure a spot in the National League Central by the end of July. To address this, the proposed deal involves the Cubs trading Luis Severino to the Athletics in exchange for RHP Brandon Birdsell and LHP Riley Martin. /N, according to Ryan Shea, the rationale behind the trade is clear. The Chicago Cubs make this trade because they are prioritizing reliable starting pitching with upside to stabilize their rotation for a competitive push. Acquiring Severino is seen as providing an experienced arm capable of taking the mound every 5th day, delivering strikeouts, and easing the burden on the bullpen. She noted that Severino's strikeout ability offers Chicago a higher ceiling than a typical back-end starter. And while the Athletics might be in a strong position in the American League West, the financial aspect of Severino's contract is cited as the primary driver for the trade decision. Additionally, Severino has reportedly expressed comments regarding his time in Sacramento and the team's ballpark, which are also factors the front office must consider. And meanwhile, the broader landscape of the league is also shifting. Reports indicate that the Los Angeles Dodgers are considering moving on from Edwin Diaz, while the Toronto Blue Jays are facing internal challenges, with Jeff Hoffman's performance being highlighted as historically poor, and Kazuma Okamoto struggling with a .200 average and 24 strikeouts. The Blue Jays are reportedly looking to trade for an award-winning outfielder to address injury concerns and potentially reshape the American League picture by targeting an elite right-hander.